Hello Flosstube, my name's Kate, I'm from the UK. I've been cross stitching for about 40 years and this is Flosstube 15. Yes, this might be the first of mine you've seen, that's because Flosstube 14 was published in 2017. I'd like to give full credit for this return to Flosstube to two people, Dobby at coveredinfloss and Lynsey at Stitching Magic. Dobby because she got me back into watching Flosstube. And Lynsey at Stitching Magic because she did a Flosstube extra that was 10 reasons as to why you should start a Flosstube. And I went, well, I've done that. Maybe I should try it again. So here we are. I will go into more detail after I've shown you what I'm stitching. So I'm doing Whipgo. And for May, the two calls were 5 and 19. My number for 19 was to do a page finish on Ragnarok by Long Dog. My Ragnarok was chosen to fit the fabric, basically. I knew which fabric I had, I know what fabric I wanted to use. I then just had to stitch it 1/1 on 32 count so that it would fit. So this is my Ragnarok. This is what it looked like at the beginning of the month. I was supposed to get a page finish on this. I don't think I'm going to get a page finish. It's been neglected. It got a big chunk done yesterday. A big chunk done this morning, actually, but also a big chunk done yesterday. Basically, last night I did the squirrel across, that bit of leaf and down, and I did this bit, which is the back of one of the ravens. For the page finish, as you can see, I need to do another leaf and I need to do most of that raven. I can't give you percentages. I am one of these people who stitches on paper. That's the cover page. So yes, so yeah, I've done most of that leaf, I've done most of that leaf, I've got this leaf and raven. I stitch on paper because most of the time when I am stitching, I am watching something. I'm watching ice hockey, or I'm watching TV programs in general. Occasionally I'll put an audiobook on, but I'm usually watching something. It is very difficult to watch something on my tablet and also use my tablet for my chart. It doesn't work. I tried it a few times. It just wasn't working for me. So at the moment, we're still on paper. That's just where we are. I do love all you people who do fantastic statistics and you've done this many % of this and this many % of that. And I envy you for being able to know that. I have to measure things by lengths of thread. Or by, I will spend 2 hours on this and it's about 2 hours, or I will watch or I will just stitch on this project while I watch this 6 episodes of this TV series, that kind of thing. Last night, well, this morning, because the game was at 1 AM UK time, I was working on this while watching the Dallas Stars Edmonton Oilers game in the playoffs, and I got half the squirrel and the bottom half of that leaf and the top there basically done during the intermissions. Because it was not a particularly boring game, and it was very hard to be looking down, and especially with the size of this, to be looking down and up again. I can't remember if I told you what the fabric was in the end after saying I picked it for the fabric. This is a piece of 32 count Murano, which is by Chromatic Alchemy, who are no longer making fabric. And the colour is Fire Rooster. The piece is 13 by 18 inches, and it just fits. When I started it, I did that so that I knew it would fit, basically. So yeah, the top, all the way across the top is done. I don't know quite why it looks so wonky in that picture. It's not quite so wonky in real life. Is done all the way along to the end. And that is, I think, 10 stitches. Yeah, I did 10 down all the way across, and then went back and started over here. So I've done all of page 1. I'm all working on page 2. So that was my first call. for whip go. It was to get the page finish. That's not going to happen. My daughter picked this one for me to work on. She also picked my other project for the month because she liked the fact they were both just black thread. So this one is Enchanted Dragon Castle by Bothy Threads. It's a kit. It's a discontinued kit because I bought this in 2016, which is when I started it. So I had to do for this, I will put it up there and I will look sideways, 6 lengths of thread on this. This is stitched 3 over 1. It's on 14 count Ada. I think it's by Pole Stitches. It's like a hand dyed. There's not much variation in this piece. You can see it's a little bit yellow there. But yeah, 6 lengths of thread. This will just be all black. This will just be all black. I did that so that I could not just be doing black and lose myself, so that I had something to kind of relate everything to. So I stitched the portcullis on that. This had already had a whip go call. It had been called in February and was called for a page finish, and I basically finished that page. So I'm on the bottom. I've got to go finish along. So I've got kind of great big chunks of castle. I've got the dragon in his cave with his gold. I'm looking at the picture. I'm going to get better at editing than I used to, so there will be a picture here. Yes, so that's that one. That has also come up again. Whip Go's calls for June are 21 and 23. And this is also number 21, which means, number 21 was another 6 lengths on a project of Megan's choice, and she went, keep doing that one. So I will. I will probably fill in those squares, try and work down a bit, I think, on that one. The other call for June was 23, and for this one I'm going to be working on the Bayan Cat by Owl Forest, which I've had as a kit. So it's their supplied fabric, it's their own hand-dyed threads. I've been working on this one a while. I want to say, I think I started summer of 2021, I think. I'd had their whale before that, whose name is Alexi, and I'd finished that and I'd bought this one to start. So this is one. I tend to keep my projects in their Q-snaps, even if I'm not, they're slackened off if I'm not working on them, but I tend to keep them in the Q-snaps because it's much easier for me just to pick them up and go. This one is being done on a hoop. So he comes out, but there are hoop marks. I'm sorry about the hoop marks. I don't iron things unless I'm finishing them off. So, colours. It looks like it's going to start raining again. Sorry. So we're there. So I've gone completely along the bottom. That is the end tree on that side. There's obviously some more stars and things to do over his head, and I need to do his back end and the bottom of his tail. And that's where we are, that one. That has got 3 hours. Again, this is one I do by time, so it will be a case of, I might put an audiobook on for 3 hours. I've been doing that with Ragnarok, which is why I managed to storm through a bit more of it than I have done so far in May, because I properly focused on it and put on an audiobook, and then I could just go without looking up and down and adjusting my brain from 32 count over my glasses to television. So that was Alpine. Next, the other things that I've been working on this month that have been organised, pre-planned, have been Dobby's 2 sals that she's doing. The first one is the Out of Spite sal, which is one where you have a project that you absolutely love, but you hate working on it. You hate it with a passion. And for me, that is the Twisted Rainbow Sampler, the cross-stitch version. by Northern Expressions Needlework. And this is where we are with that one. This is what it looked like at the beginning of May. Basically with this one, I do love it. I completely love it. I'm stitching it sideways, so it will look like this when it's done. But it's easier to stitch because it's only just off the top of the Q-snap. It was on a bigger Q-snap. It got moved for something else. But I've worked my way along the bottom so that I could get some different colours in there. Because I've got obviously orange half of butterflies and yellow half of butterfly moth things to go and things like that, but I wanted to do, it was quite nice doing like a length of each colour in there. It's very difficult to work on. You can probably see that you can see the top of my chair. It's fine in daylight, but in the dark, when it's got artificial light on top of it, I can't see underneath. So I then have to end up with like a light source from underneath as well. And it all gets a bit confusing. In daylight, I can do this. I can kind of see both sides of it. I'm happy to stitch on it. This is on, I think it's 32 count. I think, I'm not sure. I can't find the label for the fabric. It's just black 32 count even weave for that one. I knew I didn't want to stitch it on Ada. This is one of the ones I started back in 2016, 2017 when I was first doing Flosstubes. And I knew I didn't want it to be stitched on Ada. I wanted to do it on black even weave. It's just black. I like stitching with black on bright colours, but stitching with bright colours on black is a bit more difficult. So that's my Out of Spite sale. The other one that Dobby came up with at the beginning of the year was the no obligation sale, which is that you should pick out one of your most neglected projects and at least look at it so that you remember it exists and it knows it is loved. And I've done a couple of different things over the last few months. I had not touched anything for May because of a couple of other things. So in the end, I've decided that filming this Flosstube was my neglected no obligation thing. Basically, I started, I haven't, at the moment, my old Flosstubes are not up. I am planning to put them back up again. I just haven't done it yet. Basically, I started filming them when I was made redundant, when I left a job that I'd loved in a bookstop. I was always a big reader and did cross-stitch around the edges. When I left that job, I stopped being able to read. This is all in those old videos, but yeah, stopped being able to read, just couldn't read anything, didn't want to. So I did a lot of sewing, a lot of stitching, watched a lot of Flosstube, and that obviously enabled me. I got a new job at the beginning of 2017 and it just got harder and harder. I wasn't stitching enough to make videos about it. And then I started reading again. I was reading fan fiction. Marvel fanfic was the thing that got me back into reading. I wasn't stitching enough to need to Flosstube at all. And I stopped watching it. And that's part of it. If I'd kept watching it, I'd have come back sooner. But I didn't even attempt, it's 5 years since the world shut down with COVID. I didn't even go to myself, oh, I'll get back on Flosstube, I'll film more Flosstube videos because I've got loads of time to sew, because I was doing a lot of stitching at that point. But no, I was out of it until Dobby's videos dragged me back in. And then I became enabled by everybody else. Again, it's very nice to see the number of people who are still going. There's a few people who have disappeared, but I still follow. I followed a lot of people I loved on Flosstube. I'd followed on Instagram. My Instagram is the same as my YouTube. It is Petronella Rose. You can find me there. But I followed. I've kept up with the people whose Flosstubes I liked through Instagram. Some of them haven't filmed for a long time. Some of them drop stuff regularly, and you'll probably be like, oh yeah, that's Seven. You know who they are. Whipgo, it's Jessie. There are people who are just known. But there's your digression regarding that. So that was May's no obligation sale. June's no obligation sale is going to be another very old project. So this is 99 by Ink Circles. I have the paper chart for this. I did this will be in one of my old Flosstubes as a haul, because I bought a whole stack of paper charts a couple of times from Ink Circles. But this is 99, so it is 99 bottles of beer on shelves on a wall. I like the fact that when you read this, it tells you, it gives you bits and pieces about it, and inside it tells you what all the bottles are. It mentions on the back to say that how they've kind of been reduced is that a lot of the bottles are still recognisable. You can look at that and go, that's Corona, you know? That's literally like 7 blue squares. 7 little blue squares scattered about, and you look at that and go, oh, it's a Corona bottle, it says Corona. Yeah, and it says it. As I said, this is very neglected because I'm still on shelf 1. Yeah, that's where we are with that. Yeah, I think that is, let me look on here, I think that one is the last bottle on the shelf. Maybe, maybe not. Heart shape and a blue and a maybe not. I'm looking at this and thinking, is that right shelf? Oh, I'm a shelf too. I'm a shelf out. So yes, we're there. So I have 4 shelves to do down, 4 shelves to do up. I think I've done all the bottles across on that one. This is the middle shelf. This is the as you look at the chart, it is the right hand side most bottle. Yeah, I've got a long way to go on this. This is one of the ones I like doing blocks of colour. I'm very geometric. I don't like backstitch. I mean, I get the point of backstitch, but if a design is backstitch heavy, I will not pick it up anymore. No. No backstitch, but the chop changing of colours was getting to me on this one. But I do love it and I want to finish it, so it may well be, if we can, seeing how we can get with, it may well join Twisted Rainbow as out of spiting, because this one I could do at night, so we'll see. I tend to do the Twisted Rainbow one for like a Saturday afternoon, 2-3 hours on a Saturday, or one length of thread of each of the colours, see where we get to. I might have to do that with this because I love it. I haven't told you what the fabric is. I very deliberately wrote that down. This is a piece of 32 count Murano in parchment, which is by Sparkly's hand-dyed fabrics. I know there was a big gap where she wasn't dyeing fabric. Her website that I used to go to doesn't work as it used to, but I think she started again, possibly. But basically you've got some bits like that scattered about. I love it. I want to work on it. So many projects. So speaking of things with big blocks of colour, the main one I have been working on while watching ice hockey in the middle of the night is Frozen by Donor Stitch, which I know I started in 2016. This is where we are at the moment. I am finishing off this here, is page 4 at the top. So somewhere down here was the page break, and obviously you can see the page break there. This is on 18 count pearl flecked white Ada. It is very, very crunchy indeed. It's very, very stiff. I had to go up a needle size from the needle I was planning to use. I'm just trying to get it to sparkle at you. I had to go up a needle size because the fabric was shredding the floss. So by going up a needle size, it just meant there was more room around the eye. So because it was round the eye of the needle, right around there where the thread was ripping, because I'd pull it through and all of a sudden I had 2 bits of thread because it had weakened in the middle and kind of given up. So that's where we are on that one. I'm doing the A variant on that. She did, there's been one done where it's Anna and Christoph holding hands, but this one is Anna and Elsa holding hands. Yeah, and I have, this is the back, and you can see I've done all of these. I just have that and that to go. I've done a little bit of this because I couldn't, please excuse the horrendous printer lines on this. Have a picture. I couldn't leave Olaf. I couldn't just do half. Like he's on a proper page break, and I was like, I'm not stitching half of Olaf, so I did all of Olaf. So Olaf is absolutely fine. So yes. So I've been working on that. That is very easy to work on at 1 AM when you're watching hockey games. Although to be honest with you, the Edmonton games for me are usually at 3 AM our time. Which honestly, if I'm getting up for them, which I don't tend to do in the regular season, but in the playoffs I do, is actually easier because I'll go to bed about 9, and I'll go to bed at 9 and I'll sleep till 2, get like 5 hours in, then watch it, then I can usually get another couple of hours in before I've got to get up for work, if I'm working at home. If I'm going into the office, then I'm just up early and I sew until I have to go in, and then I'm just slightly sleepy all day. But the 1 o'clock ones it was stay up. It was just push through because I wasn't sleepy enough even at 10 to think, oh, I'll go and have a couple of hours kip. So I just pushed through till like 4 o'clock this morning. I'm on holiday this week, so I then, well, I'd say I slept in. I didn't. I woke up at 9, which is when my partner got up to go to work. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm not as tired as I thought I would be. I will sleep very well tonight. So yeah, that's what I've been doing while working on, while watching ice hockey, usually. Just nice big chunks of colour. Not nice big chunks of colour is this. Everybody knows this. Seriously, I've had about 2 videos where people aren't doing it because they're waiting to start it later, or they've gone, oh no, I'm doing this one instead. Fabulous. You know, it's my first Lola Crow. And I have Lola Crow cross stitches. Lola Crow patterns are for me, but doing them as a sal is not for me. So this, please excuse the giant clamps, there's so much fabric. This is where I've got to. I haven't finished the frame. We've had 2 of the weekly instalment pieces come out, so this was the first. That was the frame. This is what it looked like when the first 2 was a bird, a spoonbill and a plant were added, and this is what it should look like now with the addition of the blue-footed booby and the vampire finch. Mine does not look like that. I had done the vampire parrot at the top of the frame. Then it was announced that I was working my way along the frame, and I was like, I'll do the top and then I'll work down. And then it was announced the first birds would be in the bottom, so I basically had to shoot straight down. So this is where we are with that. Get that in. So what I did was, as you can see here, there are some gaps. This side is staggered. That's because I wanted to make sure I got my spacing right all the way down. So I'd done some bits here, I'd done some bits here, which was basically, sorry, I'm trying to look round myself the wrong way to work out where I'd gone, because I've done the chunk of frame at the top there. So I was working my way down there, working my way down there. In the end I came here, and you can see that's complete, and then these were marks, so that marks off the grid lines. And then I shot across the bottom, and then I went up here to check they match up, and they do. But yes, so what we should I have got some of my planting. I have the legs and the bill of the spoon bill, stitching this white. I thought I'll do the white and then I'll work round it. Actually, I need to do the white last because I couldn't see the white on this fabric to do it. I couldn't get any of the required suggested fabrics. There were 3 suggested fabrics for this. I couldn't get any of them. So this is a piece of 32 Murano, Zweigart Murano in Stormy Cloud, which is one of those printed. Here is the, I don't care, judge my back. Here is the back, so you can see the kind of swirliness. Like there is literally just on the front. It's like a printed fabric. So yes, we've got some spoonbill. The blue-footed booby will be here. I'm basically, I'd worked a lot on it, knew I wasn't going to get the frame finished, kind of burnt myself out because I just feel, it feels very jumpy about, you know, I've missed a stitch here because I was trying to, part of it with doing it on the paper is that I basically had at one point three separate pieces of paper, one which was the frame, one which was the first instalment, one which was the second instalment, because I was trying to work out which bits I was stitching and which bits I hadn't, and things like that. And I was trying to get the frame in and things like that. So I'd done like a load of black, and then it was suddenly like, oh, now first instalment. Oh, but some of this wasn't necessarily, some of this bit that looks like frame wasn't frame, was in sections. It's not putting me off. It's just I can't just work on this. I need to do a bit of it on a Saturday, you know, a bit of it on a Sunday afternoon. I'm trying to do it during the Formula 1 sometimes, and just do like 3 or 4 lengths, do a load of black, do a load of something else. I did all of this. I was then trying to kind of fill in around here. I'm trying to kind of, I'm doing it where I'm trying to fill right in round. So at the moment I'm trying to fill right in round the spoonbill, so that if I get that done, then I know that the next time I have to print off a piece of paper with pattern on, I can just colour it all in, basically, so I know I've done it. It is lovely. I have other patterns of hers. I've bought the aquarium. Is there an aquarium? Am I imagining an aquarium? Because I think that should be coming next. I know there's a greenhouse. So that's the aviary. There's a greenhouse. I think there must be an aquarium. I've got a couple of them. I hadn't started any of them because I have so many projects on the partly done, most of which were started in the year I was 2016. So I'm trying to finish some of those off. A lot of them, they're big. I do tend to pick bigger projects. Not haints. I have one haint that I'm working on. I'm working on slowly. You will see that in a future video because it is on... You will see that on a future video if I manage to make any more. If not, it's on my Instagram. Just go with that. It will be a whip go call. It's been a whip go call. It will be another one. I tried to do that with parking and leaving threads, and I didn't want to go near it because I didn't know where anything was, because there was no, obviously, paper chart. I can't mark, can't do the clever thing everyone does in Pattern Keeper and, oh, here's my part thread, here's my part thread, things like that, because all my stuff is Apple, no Pattern Keeper. So yeah, so one of my whip go things was to stitch in all the parked threads on Quiet Town, and then I did that when that got called and I had to do a certain number of lengths on it. I stitched in all the part threads as well, and I kind of booble off and go across country, so it seems fairly slowish, but it, it's working. That is my I haven't worked on that for a bit. I had an attack of rewatching the X-Files, and I was working on that while watching the X-Files, and then Extraordinary Birds came out. Hockey ramped up, life ramped up a bit more, so it hasn't been getting worked on, but it will. So that's all my whips. So if that's your thing, that's, you know, thank you for coming back, or nice to see you for the first time. What I have got is exactly 2 sort of pieces of haul, not really haul. I still have, even when I wasn't floss tubing and wasn't majorly stitching and was just kind of doing bits and pieces here and there, I kept my subscription to Cross Stitcher magazine. Mainly because I've had it for such a long time. If I cancelled my subscription and started it again, it would cost me twice as much. Because it's gone up a little bit, but it hasn't gone up as much as it would do. There's probably one about every other issue that I'd stitch. So this is the summer one. I like this, but what I like about it, it's a Doreen Jones pattern. What I like about it isn't the pattern, it's the fact it's in the printer's tray. Because there's way too much backstitching here for me to want to deal with any of that. But I'm quite tempted to just buy the printer's tray and then work out a way of putting geometric, like invent my own little geometric things to put in there. But there's some good stuff in there. That they always show you on the back what else is in there. That was the cover. The cover kit was that one. I'm unlikely to do that. Yeah. The one I will be doing is this one, where I have to find the page. So this is Coastal Collage by Emma Congdon, which is this, because just big chunks of colour. Big chunks of colour, but I just love the stripes, the stripiness on that. That works out, this is on 14 count, and ends up being 10 by 10, 10 inches, 26 centimetres, if you need that, 26 centimetres square. I am very, very tempted, but I've been good so far. I haven't even looked to see if I have the threads in stash. My square 13 is New Start. There are many options for that New Start. Yeah, no, do I pick another long dog? Picking another long dog, I have patterns in mind. I have patterns in mind. We'll just insert a load of those here. I have no fabric where I'm particularly like, oh, I want to stitch that on this. So it is what it is. I've got various odd bits of fabric in odd colours because way back I subscribed to various fabric subscription boxes, and half of those I haven't then used because I haven't had patterns that have fitted where the patterns I've got fabric for, or the patterns I've got, I'm like, that won't work on that fabric. In an attempt to sort that out, I'd seen this on a few places, but this is The Emerging Queendom by Quaternion Creations, and this is my storytelling and my cross stitch all in one. And you get I want to say 13, so you get 13 patterns and stories that are each pattern, basically. For the internet people, you can get this as PDFs. It's also the case of if you buy the book and contact them and show them that you own the book, they will give you the PDFs. As far as I'm concerned, it says, that's what it says, available on request. It says at the back. Honestly, there is one in this book that I don't want to stitch, just one. The one I am very tempted, and I think I will almost certainly do first, is the one called Petty Theft. That's a piece of paper falling on the floor. Is Petty Theft. I don't know what colour to do those. It will completely depend on what my background fabric is as to what those end up being. There goes the other piece of paper. But yeah, I think that's going to be the one I do first. The other thing that I liked about these was, she said, rescuing her piece of paper, that they obviously tell you the model, they tell you what the threads, etc, etc. But essentially, a lot of them you need two colours. Petty Theft, the model is 32 count vintage country mocha, so I got Lugana, and it's done in 310 and 3829 DMC, and it's 85 stitches by 122, so it ends up being 6 inches ish, 6.5 inches ish by 8 inches ish. And what I've done, I need to redo this because I started doing it and then when you haven't left yourself any space, was that I calculated all of them for doing them on 32 count with 1 inch for border and 1 inch and 2 inches for framing. Put the pattern, put the model, and then put my details in there. But what I need to do is rewrite this because I need to leave the space underneath for when I actually decide what I'm deciding to do with them. I'm going to go through all my pieces of fabric because they're not huge, they should fit on the pieces of fabric I've already got, because most of these fit, they're like 12 by 14, you know. I've got quite a few pieces of fabric that I'm fairly sure are that size. The piece of, so the piece of parchment that I got from Sparkly's, which my 99 is on, has the label on the front where it splits out what type she does, and I had one of her subscription boxes, so I have a whole load of pieces that are either, I think I've got a load of pieces that are 9 by 13, but I've definitely got a stack of pieces that are 13 by 18, and so far all of those would well easily fit on 13 by 18. The 9 by 13s, to be honest, I mean, some of them, the fabric's 12 inches, but that's with 1 inch and then 2 inches all the way around. So if I just took some of that off, they would fit on that size. So I've got more than enough fabric to do all of these. As I said, there's one in here that I'm like, but you know what? 1 out of 13 is not bad at all. And it's not like it's a bad pattern. And the story for it works really well. It's just that I don't look at it and think, oh, I want to stitch that. Which is the Curse of 10 Generations one. I'm not a chess. I don't do chess. That is literally the only one. All the others, Reluctant Sovereign, To Find Her Way, all of the others I look at and I go, oh, I want to stitch that. Oh, I want to work on that. I mean, look at her. Look at her. She's gorgeous. I don't even particularly like pink, but oh, I can't see her necessarily. I'm fairly sure I've got pink because one of the Sparkly's boxes was gemstones. And then the only one that is colours is this. And she's just, oh, look at her. But yeah, if you can get this, if these look like your kind of thing, whether it be the PDFs or the actual book, I wanted the book because of the stories. I adore it. Yes, so after that small ramble about how much I love that book, we have nearly hit 40 minutes, which means I need to go because I have no idea as yet how I'm going to edit this. Back when I was first doing Flosstube videos, I did all my editing in YouTube Editor one of the reasons, part of like one of the many reasons for me stopping was the fact that YouTube editor stopped existing. My daughter, who at the time I was last filming was 5, is about to turn 13. And the important thing about that is she gets, at 13, she can get her own Google account, which means she's not using my YouTube anymore, which means I can get rid of all the subscriptions to Roblox, people doing Roblox hints and tips and live things and slime and stuff, and just have Flosstube. And it also means that when she comments on people's videos and then people click on her name to come and look at what she does, who she is, they're not going, huh? But what? Yeah. So we shall sort that out. But yes, I shall finish this. I shall attempt to go away and do some editing. You are going to almost certainly get, if I can find it, my original Flosstube opening screen, because I like that. I'm not sitting there anymore. I'm now in my office upstairs, which at the time was Megan's bedroom, and you are seeing the office side of my office, not the other side of my office, because the other half of the room is a junk room still. It's a work in progress. I know what I want it to look like. This half's quite calm when I'm working. All that's behind me. So yeah, I have fairy. The fairy lights are supposed to do that. They're going down to the plug. But the point was, do you reckon that if you've seen my trailer, you saw my opening screen thing, and you've watched any of my old ones, if I've put them back up, you'll recognise this guy. I don't need him because I've borrowed my partner's iPad, which has a centre camera, so hopefully I've been better. That's an old thing. But yeah, so if you have been someone who subscribed to me back in 2016, 2017, and you've come back, you've gone, oh, where's she been? I'm here, hi. I just haven't been stitching enough. You know, that's how it goes. I will be trying to do a video every month at the end of the month, just to basically go, this is what I did for WhipGo, this is what I did for Dobby's cells. We will see how that goes. But leave me a comment if you've watched, or just leave me a thumbs up. You don't have to leave me a comment, or message me on Instagram and go, I'm not leaving a comment on your YouTube video, it was awful. And I'll be like, okay, fine, fair enough, accurate. And that'll be it. But whatever you do today, I hope you are kind to yourself and to other people. And hopefully I'll see you again soon.